All right, welcome back. So, of course, we are going to start with our materials just to make sure we have everything that we need before we get started with this DIY bucket hat. So, firstly, let's get to the fabric. And I actually went and kind of chose this mainly because of, as you can see, like the quilted look. This is actually quilted velour. So, it is a lot thicker because I feel like it has its own interfacing kind of added to it. It looks more like a 2 to 3 layer fabric. It has that nice sheen to it. I think this will look great on a bucket hat. And this is from Joann's again, quilted velour. And I know I do not like when black fabrics, especially when they're cotton, fade. So I don't feel like this will have that characteristic. So definitely looking forward to seeing how this turns out. So definitely. Next, of course, we have our pins. Very necessary tool. We have some clips. I might use these instead of the pins, but the pins are there just in case because I'm used to using pins. I have some interfacing, and this is more optional just because I did choose a thicker fabric. So I do want to kind of see if I'll actually need it. It is something I kind of got from, I have to look through the piece of this, from Joann's as well. So Shape Flex interfacing. So it's fusible, of course, but again, I don't know if I'll need it. But it was only like $3, so just in case I have it. Of course, the pattern, and if you're familiar with the Glory Allan pattern, of course, there's just 3 pieces to this. I like this because it does give you multiple sizes. So you can see, you know, as you can see, I'm in the large category. So I definitely wanted to try this pattern out. And then, of course, the sidekicks. That'll be for every sewing project. The scissors as well as the rotary cutter for the fabric. And then I have my circumference measuring tool. And this is just a piece of elastic. I have measuring tape somewhere, but this was very easy for me to just kind of wrap around my head and then take the measurement with the board or, you know, my trusted ruler here to kind of make sure that I had the correct circumference, which gave me that large size. So without further ado, and of course, you know, honorable mention, as always, the Singer heavy duty sewing machine. So I'm going to start with cutting out the fabric, and then I'll come back when all the pieces are ready to go. Okay, so now our pattern pieces are cut, and see, simple pattern. You needed 4 pieces of the band area there. It's going to wrap around your head, and I have 2 pieces of the top, so basically 2 circles. And then the bucket brim, of course, needed 4 of those as well. So what I like about this, again, simple pattern. As you can see, like I said, the size arrangements are there. The seam allowance is built in. Then you have the area where it's, you know, lets you know to kind of place it on the fold. So that's exactly what I did, meaning that when you cut, you're folding the fabric in half, and then once you have cut or cut out the outline, you know, that folded piece kind of comes out. So as you can kind of see, creating, you know, a portion of that brim. So we are now ready to kind of put these pieces together. All right, so it's time to start connecting. So we have our brim pieces kind of put together with clips on with the wrong sides facing out, which is very easy to do with this fabric, and you know, are able to kind of like make sure we're keeping up with that. And then we have the actual band itself also clipped together. We're going to go ahead and connect all 4 pieces. So that's sewing along here, 3/8 of an inch is built into this pattern already. Like I said, pretty easy pattern. So kind of lining it up on the sewing machine to connect that, and then we will have 4 connected pieces. All right, so all 4 of the pieces are stitched together. We have our brims and our two bands. So we have now the step to top stitch. So basically opening everything up and then stitching down. So I'm not going to do the brim yet, but I'll start with the band, kind of like flattening this out. That way it kind of fits together really nicely once it's all opened up. So again, folding this down and then top stitching so that this inside portion lays flat. So I'm going to do that for both pieces of the band pattern. Okay, so now that pieces are top stitched, or the two sets of these, the band and the brim pieces are top stitched, we are going to start connecting each of the pieces together. So now I have the hat, the circle, of course. I folded it in half and then folded it in half again. And then in doing that, I kind of took a little tiny corner here and a tiny corner here so that I can kind of lay it out and know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, and doing the same thing or creating those tiny little corners on the band, you know, you kind of line it up and then you can kind of see, you know, how everything's going to lay together. So I'm going to use my clips here to clip the hat together. And using those notches will definitely help. So you're lining everything up. So let's see, we have the notch here. So now that everything's clipped together, it's time to go to the sewing machine. Remember that 3/8 of an inch is factored in. So getting this really close to that and making sure, you know, you stay aligned on a curve is always a little challenging. So we will see how this goes. Okay, so in order to assist with the curved, I do have like one of the magnetic seam guides, just so I make sure that I don't enhance or, you know, decrease the curve, you know, too much, and it's pretty even around. So as you can see, I've kind of gone a pretty good, you know, guide and pretty much stayed along this line of that 3/8. So just kind of putting it on the 3/8 line on the sewing machine will help tremendously, because again, curves are not so easy. So let's continue. Almost done with these. All right, so now that we have, you know, our bowls basically created, it's time to connect the brims. I did go ahead and use a suggestion of creating little notches all around here to kind of flatten out the fabric because again, it is a reversible pattern. So it's going to be a lot of fabric on top of each other. So this will be kind of bulky if it's kind of pressed against the other respective outer layer. So, you know, going all the way around here, like I said, carefully not to cut the seam open and just kind of relaxing that. Now with connecting the brim to this portion, it's a little easier as far as lining it up. So you're really, you know, going to line up the seams like from here to here. So see how seamless that looks? Seamless. Now go ahead and clipping those so that you kind of line it up. Of course, you know, you're welcome to continue that and making all 4 corners lined up, you know, folding in half and then creating those little corners like we did for the band, and then clipping and going ahead and connecting those two. These two to these two will be next, and then we'll have completed or partly completed solo portions of hats, and then work on actually putting both together in that reversible pattern. Okay, so now I have completed the brim to the actual top and band portion. So I did the nicking, I would call it, or notching, so that everything lays flat again. Now it's time to connect both portions of the reversible hat together. So I put the right sides facing, you know, together so that you can kind of stitch all the way around and then pull inside out. So only time I'm going to use pins for this project is to actually create that area where the hole will be, to kind of pull everything through once I stitch all the way around. So Again, I'm actually going to line up the seams for this one because again, easy guide to do so. And then clip all the way around, and then when I get to an area I feel like I'm going to pin, so let's say I choose this one, then I'm actually going to pin that area together instead of clip it. That way I know like not to sew that area or stitch that area around. And then I can say yes, I'm going to leave about I'd say 4-inch hole to kind of make sure that I can pull everything through and then reveal the nice reversible stitching. So now that everything's clipped, or actually clipped and pinned, as you can see, like that's the opening there, kind of go through there and pull everything out so that we'll reveal that reversible and beautiful quilted velour on both sides. So 3/8 of an inch as far as the seam allowance, again built in to the pattern. So following that alongside my magnetic seam guide works seamlessly with this. So then the pins are where I will stop, making sure that I have that opening. So let's run over to the singer. All right, so now we're all sewn up, you know, got the shape and everything. Everything looks, you know, pretty decent. So it's going to be, where's my, oh, so going through the opening and kind of making sure that everything looks good. I think I may or may not have created a big enough one, but we shall see. I had to adjust it a little bit. But again, I have that thicker fabric, so there's also that. And I tried to kind of create a smaller hole. So let's see if I can get this through here. All right, so now we got everything through. I have my small opening that needs to be closed in and stitched. It's already kind of folded in already. So flattening this out, folding in, and then stitching that together so as it, you know, makes it so it's invisible. You can't really see what's going on there. And then next step is stitching around the brim. So again, the brim for this hat, one is reversible, two, it's a smaller brim. So I would say 2 to 3 lines, you know, maybe it's 4 or 5 for a normal bucket hat, but yeah, I think 2 to 3 lines, 1/4 inch apart will do very well for me. So I'm going to kind of go starting from right around where the actual end of the brim is, you know, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. So that'll kind of give the brim its shape and kind of flatten it out, because right now it's a little rolled and rounded. So I kind of want that flat, you know, look when everything's kind of sitting out there. And again, I do love this look. I need like a turtleneck or a cardigan or something to go along with this bucket hat, but I absolutely love this fabric. So yeah, let's get the brim stitched down so that I can flatten this and give this a nice shape. Now we have our completed project. I only did about 3 of the stitches, you know, just to kind of give that flat shape, but you can't really see the 5 anyway, so there was no need for me to. But of course, you know, depending on how rounded the brim is, how flat you want everything to kind of look, then you can kind of add more of those stitches there. But yeah, so completed product. I didn't really need the reversible capability. I just didn't want to be able, I wanted to be able to see the velour on, you know what I mean, when you lift the brim up. So again, and of course the softness on my hair, you know, I don't want any friction or anything like that, any hair breakage. So velour is a pretty good material for that. So definitely proud of this project. number 3. So looking forward to one, probably creating a cabbie hat or something else from this material. This might be my fall winter hat material, again, for the warmth and the softness and the luxe look as well. So look forward to more sewing projects, and thanks for watching.